This is Brandon Hayes, host of the Warcraft Recon Report, and today I want to talk about what it would take to completely ruin WoW, at least for me personally. Over the years, Blizzard has made several decisions I don't agree with, but overall they haven't done anything truly game-breaking. For example, I wasn't the biggest fan of Mists of Pandaria by any means, but I managed to live with it. I thought the Pandaren were a total joke, and I found the themes of the maps to be quite repetitive and unappealing, but I didn't cancel my subscription in protest of it. I simply muddled through it and hoped the next expansion would be better. Thankfully, it was, 1000%. But is there anything Blizzard could do that would cause me to unsub and never look back? Sure, adding pay-to-win items in the in-game store would certainly compel me to quit, but I try to make my videos unique, so I'm not going to harp on the obvious. The following is a list of 4 things that would spoil the World of Warcraft for me in such a way that I might never be able to enjoy the game again. Number 1. Additional joke races. I don't like the Pandarans, I'm sorry, I guess I'm just an awful racist in that regard. But I think they look ridiculous and I simply can't take them seriously. Their existence kinda hinders my ability to get fully immersed in the game. Whenever a Pandaren runs into my line of sight, I always think, man, those characters look dumb. Then I have to mouse over them to see if they're Horde or Alliance because, well, I simply can't tell them apart. They all look alike. Jeez, I think I might need to enroll myself in some kind of furry sensitivity training. Anyway, Pandaren are still a small fraction of the overall population of Warcraft. I can ignore them easily enough, but if Blizzard continues to add even more goofy playable races to the game, it might turn me off against the franchise as a whole. Now, a ton of different candidates for future playable races have been suggested at this point, like Ogres, Ethereals, Naga, Dragonkin, and so on. And while some of these popular races would be logistical nightmares to design armor for, I wouldn't mind welcoming most of them into the fold. What I don't want to see are any more hokey, absurd, cartoony characters joining the ranks of the Alliance or the Horde, like Furbolgs or Murlocs. These primitive, dim-witted creatures are perfectly fine as hostile threats in the open world, but it's quite a stretch to believe they'd be strong enough or smart enough to pull their weight in dungeon or raid scenarios. A really well-known Warcraft podcaster, who I'll refrain from mentioning by name, almost always references kobolds when discussing potential playable races. Kobolds? Seriously? Every time I hear him mention kobolds, I just want to pull out my hair. Take candle. Well, you know what? Join my faction. Kobolds are worthless, disgusting, disease-ridden rodents that wear burning candles for hats. According to WoW Wiki, they stand between 3 and 4 feet in height and weigh between 70 and 100 pounds. They're generally weak and not particularly bright. Sunlight causes them discomfort, but they also have poor eyesight in the dark, hence the candle hats. And this is the best part. When facing a significant threat, they will abandon their homes and their young. Wow, what a brave and heroic race of people the kobolds are. I sure hope they join my faction someday. Number 2. Customization run amok. Blizzard is notoriously stingy when it comes to giving players the ability to customize things. Our new garrisons, for example, are practically identical. Sure, you can decide which buildings to build, but your only building options come from a small pool of generic choices. The same relative restrictions apply to weapons and armor. We suffered for years without a transmog system, and I'm honestly surprised we eventually got one. But we still have no system in place for dyes to change the colors of our gear. Most disappointingly, player models only have so many faces and hairstyles available to choose from. Yes, the model revamps in Warlords were fantastic, but at the end of the day, they're still severely limited in their uniqueness. This is why it's no surprise that a majority of players are actively pushing for Blizzard to include sub-races into the game. They'd help to destroy that lackluster carbon copy feeling. They'd allow people to stand out in a crowd. The Forsaken are all undead humans, even though lore says otherwise. I'd love to have the option to change my Forsaken mage from human to high elf. And if I had a gnome character, I'd have a real hard time choosing between leper gnome and mecha gnome, because they're both so damn cool. So what am I worried about here? I said I didn't want to see customization run amok, but what exactly am I talking about? Well, Blizzard has a tendency to go all or nothing. Like Mists of Pandaria, for example. They went batshit insane with the dailies, and players complained. Rightfully so, I should add. It was unacceptably ridiculous. So in response, Blizzard all but purged dailies from the game. They radically changed directions in an almost malicious way. Oh, you don't like drudging through 1 billion dailies every day? Well, fine. We'll take them all away. Yep, no more dailies for anyone. Be careful what you wish for, crybabies, or you just might get it. So I can realistically see a day when Blizzard decides to pull a complete 180 in terms of character customization, that let you choose your character race and sub-race, along with height, weight, posture, and so on. Now this sounds awesome in theory, but with great customization comes great responsibility. Responsibility a hefty portion of the player base doesn't have. I played a game called Ion for a very short while. It was an absolutely horrendous pile of garbage, crapped out by one of the worst video game companies in existence, NC Soft. Perhaps I'll talk about that miserable experience in a future video someday. But Ion has an incredibly detailed character creation screen. You could easily spend hours designing new characters, and that's what I recommend you focus on if you ever decide to play the game, because it's the only enjoyable part of it. As soon as I set foot in Etria, the Ion homeworld, I was the odd man out for looking normal. I was surrounded by tiny people with massive arms, lengthy stick figures with giant bobbleheads, and all other sorts of unholy mutations. Instantly, the beautiful world was tarnished by immature character builds. I don't ever want to see this free-for-all madness come to WoW. Number 3, Sylvanas as a villain. The lore behind Warcraft is incredibly detailed, almost detrimentally so. The world is so extensive in both storylines and characters that it can be downright confusing. Hell, even Blizzard has trouble keeping it straight from time to time. So I have no shame in admitting I'm not an expert in Warcraft lore by any means. Having said that, I know enough lore to get by. And one of the most compelling storylines of the entire franchise is the life, death, and cursed resurrection of Lady Sylvanas Windrunner. I won't get into the details here because it's a very long story. But if you're unfamiliar with the material, you should definitely check it out elsewhere. Sylvanas has always been my favorite character. You know, in a game that's often criticized for having no strong female characters. That's why I felt bad for her after the events at Wrathgate. She was kind of shunned by the Horde, and her capital city was overtaken by Hellscream's stormtroopers. Garrosh was always an asshole. I hated him since day one. That's why I was happy when he was finally dethroned in the Siege of Orgrimmar. What I didn't like about that encounter was the conversation between Sylvanas and Lor'themar. It made Sylvanas seem like a crazed bad guy, and caused fans to speculate if she'd one day go the way of Garrosh Hellscream. I don't want to fight Sylvanas. The thought of having to kill my favorite character is just depressing. I'd rather, if she had to die, that she'd do so in a more dignified way, going out like a hero instead of having to be put down like a rabid dog. In fact, the whole faction leader turned evil thing has been done. It's over. It doesn't need to be repeated, ever. Even Varian Wrynn, as much as I hate the guy, I don't need to see him become a major villain in some future expansion. Hopefully, this storytelling device has been officially put to bed. Oh, and while I'm at it, I might as well throw this in, like an honorable mention of sorts, that I'm getting real tired of seeing is Thrall save the day. He's become the ultimate solution to every problem. Some fans jokingly refer to him as the Green Jesus, and I'd argue that, at this point, his comical nickname isn't even grandiose enough to encompass his heroic stature. If Thrall continues to be the face of victory in every expansion, I might just stop caring about Warcraft as a whole. It's time for Thrall to enjoy his remaining golden years in retirement. Number 4. Egregious product placement. It's everywhere. Movies, TV shows, video games. Advertisements cheapen every aspect of life, and you probably can't go 5 minutes without seeing some sort of corporate logo, unless you squirrel yourself away in the mountains and live in seclusion like the Unabomber. Oh wait, it was there also. Damn. Thankfully, the world of Warcraft is untouched by this corruption. Hold up, you're probably saying. Warcraft isn't entirely innocent. It's had its fair share of in-game promotions. Well, yes. It's not entirely innocent in this regard. There's a tiny green dragon pet, for example, that was rewarded as some sort of Coca-Cola promotion, but it's only available on Chinese servers. I don't have access to it, so to me it doesn't really count. Well, what about the 2009 Mountain Dew Game Fuel promotion? That was available in America. Alright, Jesus, get off my back, you goddamn know-it-all. Yes, Mountain Dew teamed up with Blizzard in '09. They released 2 different flavors of soda in stores, Diabetes and Diabetes. Just kidding, they were called Horde Red and Alliance Blue. And there was an in-game equivalent to this promotion. Players received BattleBot companion pets in the mail, which were later renamed Warbots for some unknown reason. Anyway, these BattleBots had empty tanks on their backs that could be filled with war fuel. How'd you get the fuel? Well, you had to log on to the Mountain Dew website every day and ask for some. The website would send you a few bottles each day. I still have some of this fuel in my bank, even though it's not so special anymore. You can now purchase it from an average NPC vendor. Ultimately, I'm fine with this, because the BattleBot, or Warbot, doesn't have a big Mountain Dew logo on it. Some players might see this pet today and not even know it was ever once associated with the soft drink at all. No, what I'm dreading is the day when Blizzard decides to open its doors to some truly egregious product placement. It would be real easy for them to do, and really destructive to the game. Let's hitch a ride on trolley and travel to the land of make-believe to see what it'd be like if Blizzard sacrificed the soul of Warcraft to the greedy corporate legion. I'm mining in my garrison, gathering my resources, when I get a miner's coffee drop. But this isn't the average brew. It's a Starbucks Express caramel mocha cinnamon brulee frappuccino physio whatever. Oh, and look, it comes with a real-world coupon, so I can drink the same exact garbage while I game. Frostfire Ridge is a barren wasteland. It'd be real easy for Blizz to erect tons of billboards that you could see from miles around. Perhaps Blizzard could even data mine your chat text and then display relevant ads based on your interests. Or what about adding corporate mascots as battle pets? The master tamers around Kalimdor have been talking about you. You think yourself a Royal Crown Chimpoko master? Well, you will never defeat my food fighter, unless you have a positively skilled opponent. Speaking of food, what if an annoying pop-up window interrupted your game every so often to hard sell you a meal? It's getting late. It's almost dinner time. Did you know Panda Express delivers? Try our firecracker chicken meal,
which is 2 tiny strips of chicken and a shit ton of noodles.
One day, your hunter gets a care package from Anheuser-Busch. Greetings, Hunter. We've heard tale of your exploits all around Azeroth. Your adventures are truly legendary. That's why you shouldn't be burdened with such humdrum pets. Dismiss your mongrels and capture some purebred excellence. Quest with Spuds Mackenzie at your side. He's Bud Light's original party animal. Ugh, I could keep this nonsense up for hours, but I should probably stop before someone at Blizzard hears my ramblings and thinks they're good ideas. If you liked this video, please subscribe and help me promote the channel. Share the video link with others through social media, GeoCities, MySpace, whatever you kids are using these days. Thanks. Later.